Ever get the feeling you're being watched online? It's data brokers. They collect your personal info, your browsing habits, where you live, and who you're related to, and then sell it to the highest bidder. Aura helps stop that. Aura automatically removes your personal info from data broker sites and keeps it off. It also monitors the dark web, protects your devices, alerts you to real-time threats, and more. Start your free trial at aura.com/listen. That's AURA.com/listen for your free trial.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast presented by Manly Bands. Josh All alone, your host today, coming to you on 4th of July weekend. First of all, let me wish everybody out there a happy 4th of July. I hope everybody has a great holiday weekend. Stay safe, enjoy time with your friends, family. It's a great time of year, summer. Like this is what it's all about right here, in my opinion. Football season's coming soon. Can't wait. Super excited for everything with football season, but man, do I love summer, and especially 4th of July. So enjoy it. And I just wish everybody, again, a happy 4th of July. Recording this episode a little early this week, obviously with the holiday weekend coming up. I'll be doing stuff with my friends and family as well. So I'll be busy. I'll be moving around, traveling this weekend, a lot of stuff like that. So recording this early, and I want to finish off this series talking about the different positional groups for the Browns. I did offense a few weeks ago. Actually, I think it was last month, and then did the defensive line. I think that was last week, maybe it was the week before. I lose track of time in the summer, as I think most of us do. But today I want to finish everything up, and I want to talk about the linebackers and the defensive backs for the Browns heading into training camp later this month. Before I do, I want to remind everybody to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, like the video, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss anything new coming up this summer. We've got some cool stuff planned, cool things coming once training camp gets here, preseason, all that stuff. So you don't want to miss anything. And make sure you guys follow us on all the social medias. At the Dogs Podcast is the handle everywhere, so you can find us pretty easily that way. And last thing, got to continue making the push for fantasy football leagues. We just kind of on a whim started a new dynasty league in the dog pack, and we've got the redraft leagues filling up. Those drafts are going to be, the leagues will be finalized and the drafts will be set at the end of August. So make sure you guys get in now. We're in July. The spaces are going to fill up quick. So get in, jointhedogs.com, become an official dog pack member over on the Patreon page. It's, you can sync up with the private Discord, jump into the 24/7 conversations with the diehard Browns fans in that community. You get access to us. We're in there all the time. You can ask us questions. You get more opportunities to be on the show, to get your thoughts and questions answered, all that kind of stuff. Plus, of course, you get access to the fantasy football leagues. And it's just a great way to support the show financially if you're just interested in that portion of things. It's $5 a month. And I mean, that's a cup of coffee that you're donating to the Dogs Podcast every month. But to us, it means a lot more than just a cup of coffee. Believe you me. So jointhedogs.com is where you can do all of those things. Okay, so let's talk about the linebackers today to kick off the conversation. First of all, let's look at what the linebacker unit was in 2024 on the the initial 53-man roster heading into the season. It was Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, JOK, Jordan Hicks, Devin Bush, Tony Fields, Muhammad Diabate, and Buki Watson. So those were the linebackers on the initial 53-man roster a year ago. To kick off the conversation heading into training camp 2025, let's start with Jordan Hicks, 6'1", 235 pounds. He is 32 years old. This will be his 11th NFL season. This is the second year of his 2-year deal with the Browns. He's a $4.1 million cap hit. This year, they signed him in the offseason last year in 2024 to come in here and kind of fill the role left by Anthony Walker, who had been here for a few years, just could not stay healthy, could not stay on the field. And so they brought in Jordan Hicks, who also did not stay healthy last year. This just, injuries is a theme with the Browns. every year, it doesn't matter who the players are. We can bring in a guy who hasn't missed a game in the last 5 years, and he's probably going to miss at least 4, if not maybe half the season for the Browns in his first year here. Just for whatever reason, whether it's the athletic training department, the conditioning guys, the strength and conditioning, all that stuff, these guys get hurt more often, it seems, for the Browns. Like if we always go through our injury reports every week during the season, and the Browns injury report is always longer, sometimes twice as long as our opponent's is. It's freaking incredible. But anyway, back to Jordan Hicks. He played 12 games in 2024, so he missed 5. It was his first season, of course, because he missed 5 games. First season under 100 tackles after logging 5 straight seasons with 100 plus. He missed games with elbow injuries, tricep injuries, missed the finale against the Ravens with a concussion. So just a typical year for a guy on the Cleveland Browns. But even with missing 5 games, he still managed to log 78 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. So if we can get a relatively healthy season from Jordan Hicks, and again, like I said, I know health and anyone on the Browns, it doesn't seem to correlate very well, but Jordan Hicks is a very solid linebacker, and he's a great player to lead this unit in 2025. The next guy on the list is Devin Bush, 5'11", 235, 26 years old. This will be his 7th NFL season. The Browns signed him back this year in 25 on a 1-year deal, 1.17 vet minimum contract. So he's, like I said, on the vet minimum. I thought Devin Bush played pretty solid for the Browns last season, despite, utter vomit-inducing state of the team that was the Browns in 2024. Bush came in here after, he was a first-round pick for the Steelers, and in his rookie season was phenomenal, and then had some injury situation going on and just never really bounced back from that until last year came back and had, like I said, a pretty solid season. Played 16 games, 76 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and he defended 3 passes. But given all that, given what he did last year and everything, Browns brought him back in the offseason. I don't think that makes him a lock to make the team by any stretch, just because this linebacker position, I'm going to continue to go through the names here. I think the linebacker position is actually pretty deep heading into training camp. So, Devin Bush, again, the next veteran up, as a guy who was here last year as well, but again, not a lock in my opinion to make the team. I think the training camp battle at the linebacker position specifically is going to be very interesting this year, because Jordan Hicks, obviously a great veteran leader to be at the top of that unit, Devin Bush, and then these next couple names here, we've got some very good linebackers, and I'm going to roll right in now to Mohamed Diabate. 6'4", 225 pounds, 24 years old. This is his 3rd NFL season after going undrafted back in 2023. Browns signed him as a UDFA, and he has been nothing short of excellent as an undrafted player, making this roster now 2 years in a row heading into his 3rd. Diabate played 13 games last season, made 70 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and defended 3 passes. I do expect Diabate to make the 53-man roster for the 3rd straight season in 2025, just because he's a dog. The dude is an absolute dog on the field. And I'm based on what I believe was Cameron Justice was reporting over OTAs and minicamp here in the spring, Diabate once again making plays everywhere on the field. So, and these UDFA guys, I mean, I'm not saying anything, this is all promoting these guys. They've got a bigger chip on their shoulder a lot of times than the drafted players. Because they've had to work for it. They went undrafted. They had to, come in as a UDFA and then fight for a spot. And there's 33% of the NFL on average every year is made up of undrafted players. I mean, that's 1 out of every 3 players didn't get drafted. These guys come in hungry and they fight. And we've seen exactly that from Mohamed Diabate. And we've also seen it now last year from this next guy, Winston Reed. So again, sticking with the undrafted veteran guys for the Browns, Reed was a UDFA out of Weber State last season, 6 foot, 225 pounds. He is 25 years old, so he was a little older coming out of college, now heading into his 2nd NFL season. Played in 16 games last season, had 23 tackles, 1 TFL, 2 pass breakups, and 1 fumble recovery. After JOK went down last season and Jordan Hicks dealt with his injuries, the Browns got some very solid performances from the last few guys that I mentioned. Devin Bush, Mohamed Diabate, and Winston Reed as a rookie was very impressive for the Browns, I felt, last year. So the Browns did bring in another good veteran option this offseason. They signed Jerome Baker, 6'2", 232 pounds. He is just 28 years old, and yet this is going to be his 8th NFL season out of Ohio State. So, of course, I got a soft spot in my heart for these Buckeyes, but Jerome Baker's been a guy who's been very good in the NFL over his career. Last year, he played in 5 games with the Seattle Seahawks and then got traded, played 5 games with the Tennessee Titans. In total, Jerome Baker had 61 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 4 pass breakups, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. The Browns signed him this year to a 1-year, $1.25 million contract, so not quite the vet minimum, higher than what they gave Devin Bush. This is a guy that I wanted the Browns to sign last offseason. I think me and Kenny Mack actually did an episode highlighting players we wanted the Browns to sign in free agency, and Jerome Baker was one of the guys that I highlighted last offseason. Ultimately, he ended up signing with Seattle last year for $7 million over 1 year, and like I said, played 5 games with the Seahawks before getting traded to Tennessee. So $1.25 million for Jerome Baker this year could end up being a huge steal for the Browns. It's a guy who's had 3 seasons now over 100 tackles, and then he had a 4th season in there with 92. So almost 4 seasons at 100 tackles. His season high in sacks is 7. He has 24.5 sacks over his career. He's not a huge TFL guy, but he does break up passes at a high rate, and he forces fumbles. I loved this signing when it happened, not just because he's a Buckeye, but because he's been a great linebacker in the NFL over his career. I think Baker has a chance to contribute more to the defense in 2025 than maybe a lot of people are thinking. There have been some bigger splashes, obviously the drafting of Carson Schweschinger, who I'll get to here in a little bit. You know, the bringing back of Devin Bush, who then, you know, he did have his arrest or whatever that situation was over in Pittsburgh this offseason. You know, I'll mention that, but I'm not going to dive into it anymore. We've already covered it on the show. And obviously the UDFA guys get a lot of buzz in camp and stuff. But Jerome Baker is a veteran who I think is going to make his presence felt in training camp. And I'm excited to see him play for the Browns this season. Next guy up, we've got Buki Watson, Nathaniel Buki Watson. He was last year's 6th round pick out of Mississippi State. 6 foot, 233 pounds, 24 years old. Did not quite have the impact in 2024 that we were hoping for after he led the SEC in tackles. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. Just had more hope and expectation for him as a rookie last year, but he did play in 14 games, just 14 total tackles. 10 of them were solo. He did break up a pass. Majority of his snaps were on special teams, so he didn't play a whole lot of defense. The defensive snaps when we dealt with injuries ended up going to UDFA Winston Reed over the 6th round pick, Buki Watson. Watson played 243 snaps on special teams, just 55 snaps on defense. So as much as we like Buki Watson, I like Buki Watson. He even came on the podcast last summer. I had a conversation with him. Great dude. You know, I think he's probably more likely a candidate to be on the practice squad unless the Browns covet him on their special teams units, which they very well may. He excelled on special teams last year. That could be a spot where he makes the 53-man specifically to contribute on all their ST units. We will see how things go this summer. He'll be a guy to watch in preseason for sure. So that's Buki Watson, 2nd-year man out of Mississippi State. This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. It's time to set off the fireworks early this year with the 4th of July sale at manlybands.com. Get 35% off site-wide, plus get a free 3-pack of silicone bands, red, white, and blue to celebrate the occasion. Plus, in honor of Browns training camp starting later this month, enter promo code CAMP25, CAMP25 when you check out to get an extra $25 off your order. Manly Bands has some of the coolest wedding bands made for men, rings made out of dinosaur fossils and meteorite, plus they got you covered for tungsten, titanium, obviously the gold and white gold. They've got platinum, black zirconium, carbon fiber, anything you're looking for, they have ready for you. Plus they've got chains and other gifts for men, groomsmen gifts, barware. If you're looking for manly stuff, head to manlybands.com. Right now, 4th of July sale, 35% off site-wide, plus a free 3-pack of silicone rings and an extra $25 off your order when you use promo code CAMP25 at checkout. That's manlybands.com, promo code CAMP25.
Since 1989, Mount Hope Fence has set the standard in outdoor living. From decks and railings to fences and patios, we've got you covered. Our lineup features top brands like TimberTech, AlumaGuard, Preferred Railing, and Unilock, along with our own premium Duralux vinyl products. For over 30 years, we've partnered with contractors ensuring reliable job site delivery. Discover quality and excellence in all things outdoors with Mount Hope Fence.
And that will roll us into the final name on the list, probably the name you guys are most excited to hear about. And that's Carson Schwessinger, the 6'2", 242 rookie out of UCLA, 22 years old. The Browns used the very first pick, if you remember, on day 2 of the NFL draft to go get, unfortunately, their JOK replacement. The rookie out of UCLA had the number 1 production score among all linebackers in this draft class. His college career, just a refresher for everybody. 2021, he was a redshirt walk-on at UCLA. 2022, he played in all 13 games as a reserve and on special teams. He had 15 tackles and half a tackle for loss. He received a scholarship before that season. 2023 came back, played in all 13 games again as a reserve and on special teams, just 12 tackles and 2 TFLs with 1 sack. So very minimal production after walking on his freshman year. Then last year in 2024, exploded. First team Associated Press All-American, first team All Big Ten Conference, finalist for the Butkus Award, which is the nation's top linebacker, led the FBS with 90 solo tackles, ranked 3rd in the nation with 136 total tackles. He was a team captain at UCLA, played in all 12 games, 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups, a forced fumble, and like I said, 136 tackles, 90 of them solo tackles. Wow. So he only has the 1 season as a starter in college, but like I said, it was an incredible season. I don't expect him to come out and be necessarily the guy for the Browns early in the season, but man, I do expect to see him make some big strides and really start to make plays for the team over the second half of the season as he continues to adapt to the NFL game and the NFL game speed and as things start to slow down for him. But there, some of the reports, I think it was Terry Pluto, had some news and notes and updates and things from OTAs and minicamp that he came away with. And one of the things was that Carson Schwessinger could be the guy, even though I just said I don't expect him to be the guy. Right away, he's saying maybe even early in the season, this guy can start. The Browns think he can play. He's picking up the defensive schemes very quickly. The dude has a high motor and a high recognition of play. I'm very excited for Carson Schwessinger on the defensive side of the ball. Other names to mention here at the linebacker position, we've got Easton Mascarenas Arnold. No clue, guys. I admit I do not know who that guy is. And of course, JOK, who has been placed on the reserve pup list and will miss all of 2025 with the neck injury that he sustained against the Ravens in that head-on collision with Derrick Henry in Week 8 last season. So unfortunately, yes, JOK should be highlighting our linebacker conversation here for the Browns, but unfortunately, he just gets an honorable mention at the end because he's not going to play this year. Doesn't feel like he's probably ever going to play football again. That if I had to make a bet right now, yes or no, does JOK ever play football again in the NFL? I would bet no. And that's not me. I don't say that with any bit of joy. I just think that's the honest reality of the situation. If he does come back, holy crap. Him with Carson Schwessinger could be like the best linebacking unit in the NFL. So praying for JOK's safety, first and foremost, just as a human being, just for life, because I think he's like 26. I mean, the dude is young. He's got the rest of his life to live. Want him to be healthy, want him to stay safe. Obviously, selfishly, as a Browns fan, I want to see him back on the field, but just I wouldn't bet on it. Okay, so let's move back in the defensive backfield, and we're going to start with the safety unit, probably the weakest unit on the defense right now. I don't know if anybody would really argue with me on that, though. The Browns have added some decent veterans to fill out the depth chart here in the offseason. So last year on the initial 53-man roster, the Browns went into the season with Grant Delpit, Jog Juan Thornhill, Rodney McLeod, DeAnthony Bell, man, I hate to see that guy go, and Ronnie Hickman. So let's kick it off here, the discussion with the top dog at the safety position, Grant Delpit, 6'3", 208 pounds, 26 years old, heading into year 6 with the Browns this season. He signed a 3-year, $36 million extension with the Browns toward the end of the 2023 season. His cap hit here in 2025 is just $5.9 million. Interesting note here, if I'm reading all these numbers correctly from Over the Cap, this is the final season for guaranteed money for Grant Delpit. So theoretically, not saying that I want this to happen or that I think it'll happen. I'm just saying, hypothetically, theoretically, the Browns could trade him next offseason and save $4 million against the cap in 26 and nearly $13 million in 2027. Just an interesting note to make there about Delpit and the way his contract is structured. Grant Delpit played 16 games last year in 2024. He had 111 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery, and a pass breakup. Ever since this dude tore his Achilles ahead of his rookie season, he has come back and been a freaking beast at safety for the Browns. He's missed 6 games over the last 4 seasons. That's it. After missing that entire rookie season, he's had 66 tackles, 105, 80, and now 111 over those 4 seasons. He's had 6 interceptions. 4 of them came in 2022. So that means 0 picks last year. And that is an area that not just Delpit, but this entire secondary really needs to improve upon, is coming down with interceptions. So another season for Delpit coming up, and excited to watch him continue to make tackles and be a tackling machine for the Browns at that position. Next up, Ronnie Hickman, 6'1", 210 pounds, 23 years old. Similar to Mohamed Diabate, he's heading into his 3rd season after being a UDFA in 2023. So a great UDFA class for Andrew Berry in 2023. Ronnie Hickman played in 14 games last season, had 45 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 fumble recovery, and a pass breakup. Just 1 interception so far over his 2-year career, and that was that huge pick 6, if you guys remember, against the Jets on the Thursday night football game that locked down the Browns' playoff spot in 2023. Hickman is a very solid player. Okay, he's been a huge hit, like I mentioned on UDFA signing, but relying on him as the main starting free safety, I'm not saying that it can't happen or that he can't continue to ascend and become that type of player. He has done very well in his spot start opportunities, but we've primarily seen him now fill in a reserve role for the Browns, filling a rotation with other guys for depth and coming up whenever there's been injuries, and he's done very well in that role. But the Browns seem to be really banking on him taking that next step for the team and for the defense here in 2025. So with Delpit and Hickman really being the only 2 safeties on the roster for a large amount of the offseason here, the Browns finally did go make some free agent signings at the safety position. They brought in Rayshawn Jenkins, 6'1", 220 pounds, 31 years old. It's his 9th NFL season. Signed him to a 1-year, $1.25 million contract. These 2 guy free agent signings are very similar. One is 31, the other is 32. Both it's their 9th season. Both they're a 1-year, $1.25 million deal. Jenkins is more of your in-the-box strong safety, and I would see him being as more of the direct backup to Grant Delpit. Last year with the Seahawks, Jenkins played 13 games with 53 tackles, 2 tackle for loss, 1 sack. It was actually his first career sack. And then he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, a 102-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. The 2 seasons before that, from 2022 to 2023 with the Jaguars, Jenkins had 100-plus tackles and in each of those seasons, and he had 10 total TFLs over that span. He also forced 3 fumbles in 2022. So he's a very good tackler as well. I definitely like this signing, like I said, as depth behind Delpit. I think this is a very good fit for Jim Schwartz's defense, and I think Browns fans could be pleasantly pleased with Rayshawn Jenkins here in 2025. The other free agent we signed was Damontae Kazee, 5'11", 174, 32 years old. Like I said, 9th NFL season, just like Jenkins, signed to a 1-year, $1.25 million deal. This is more of your center field free safety type of guy, your backup rotational guy with Ronnie Hickman. Last year with the Steelers, Damontae Kazee played in 15 games with 31 tackles, 2 pass breakups, 1 pick. He's a guy, though, whose single season high in interceptions is 7. Okay, that's great. So he has a single season high of 7 picks back in 2018 when he played for the Atlanta Falcons. So probably, again, the weakest unit on the defense. They sat with Delpit and Hickman for a long time, finally signed Rayshon Jenkins and Damontae Kazee. I think those are 2 great signings for the Browns for depth. The other guy that I'll talk about here, and it's not much to talk about, is Nick Needham. Kind of listed just as a defensive back on the Browns website. He can play some safety, can play some corner, that type of player. 6 foot, 193. He's 28 years old. 7th NFL season. He's on the vet minimum for 1 year here with the Browns. He has spent all 6 seasons of his career so far with Miami. With the Dolphins, he had 2 picks in each of his first 3 seasons. Has not played a ton the last 3 seasons, just 2 games in 2024. 1 tackle, that's about it. Been on and off the practice squad, that type of stuff. So he likely won't be on the active roster, I can't imagine. Could be a practice squad candidate for the Browns this year. Other names to mention here, you got Christopher Edmonds was the UDFA for the Browns that they signed last season. And then you've got Donovan McMillan, the UDFA they signed this season. Donovan McMillan is somebody I'll be very interested to watch and pay attention to over training camp and during the preseason. So if there's one guy that you guys remember from this episode as training camp or preseason kickoff, just remember Donovan McMillan will be an interesting player to watch for the Browns. This episode is sponsored by Butcher Box for Pets. Browns fans, we love our fellow dogs, our Dog Pack members, and the Dog Pound faithful, but let's not kid ourselves. The most important dogs in our lives are, well, our dogs. Your furry friends aren't just pets, they're part of the family. But the question is, what are you actually feeding them? Head to butcherbox4pets.com/products to see all the options for your dogs, including fresh and dry foods, treats, meal toppers, and even toys for your dog. If you're not sure what your dog will like best, try the Premium Nutrition Adult Starter Pack. And they even have a vacation bundle to take care of your 4-legged friends while you're on vacation this summer. And right now you can get 20% off your order with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. At ButcherBox, they believe in real ingredients. Their pet foods have been developed and certified by vet nutritionists to contain 0 artificial flavors or preservatives. You get protein-packed formula with over 50% of the recipe comprised of third-party certified humane ButcherBox meat, plus functional ingredients like pre- and postbiotics to support your dog's vitality and digestion. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line is your dogs are getting the nutrition and the value they need and honestly that they deserve. I know our home wouldn't be the same without Odie, our 100-pound golden retriever who thinks he's a 10-pound lap dog. He is not, but it gives us peace of mind knowing that we're giving him quality food instead of just that factory processed garbage from the store. And speaking of the store, no need to go. ButcherBox for Pets delivers their high-quality food right to your door. So head to butcherboxforpets.com/products and use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 20% off your order. It's time for us dogs to give our dogs the nutrition they deserve.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
So let's put the final touches on this positional breakdown conversation with the cornerbacks. Last season on the initial 53-man roster, the Browns went into the season with Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, Cameron Mitchell, Miles Harden, and Khalif Halisi. I do expect it to be a very similar list this year. Headlined, of course, by the one and only Denzel Ward, 5'11", 190 pounds. He's 28 years old. This will be his 8th NFL season. Back in 2022, Denzel Ward signed a 5-year, $100.5 million contract extension with the Browns with an average annual salary of $20.1 million. He will be a $24.5 million cap hit this season. So, based on OTC, yes, we are in the part of his contract now where the Browns can start saving cap space by trading Denzel Ward. So those, just for the people who think that we need to blow up the whole thing and start trading everybody for future picks and things like that, I wanted to mention it that yes, the dead cap situation for Denzel Ward and all that, we're at the point in the contract where Browns could consider trading him and it would not be financially prohibitive to do so. But that being said, Denzel Ward is a guy who, if this season crashes horribly off the rails, could potentially start being floated in trade rumors and things like that. But we love Denzel Ward. We don't want to see him go anywhere else. Want him to be a Brown for life. He's that type of dude. Last year, he played in 16 to 17 games. So for everybody who says he's always injured and doesn't play full seasons, yes, he doesn't play full seasons. But then again, what NFL player really does, especially a full-time player? But last year, 16 out of 17 games, he had 49 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 fumble recovery, 1 forced fumble, and 19 pass breakups. He led the entire NFL last season with 19 pass breakups. That's awesome. The flip side for Denzel Ward, just 2 picks. So he's a guy who always seems to get his hands on the pass, but just cannot seem to come down with the ball. This is really nothing new. If you go back and look through his stat lines, his career high in the season is just 3 picks. So he's not a big interception guy, but he's had double-digit pass breakups every single season of his career. So he is, when they talk about lockdown corner, it really is, you throw the ball toward Denzel Ward, it's probably hitting turf. It's probably coming down on the ground. You're not running a high risk of him picking you off, but you're not running a very good opportunity to make a completed pass to your receiver either. And so that moves us into Greg Newsome II, 6 foot, 192 pounds, 25 years old. This will be his 5th season. He's playing on the 5th-year option in 2025 with a $13.4 million cap hit. And this is why he's been the speculation of every single trade rumor you hear, every trade proposal that comes out from every media outlet and all that kind of stuff this entire offseason. He's got no dead money. That's why, and he's on the final year of his contract. That's why he is in every trade speculation out there. The Browns stand to save that entire $13.4 million against the cap if they were to move him. Plus, like I mentioned, not under contract beyond this season. So the Browns do have a decision to make with Greg Newsome. If this season is not going well, it doesn't look like we're going to make the playoffs and all that kind of thing, this could be a trade deadline type of guy too. The Browns could look to try to find a younger asset, for future years with more time on their contract, or just draft picks for Greg Newsome if the opportunity comes up. Or they might extend him. I have no idea what they plan to do with Greg Newsome, but they do have decisions to make with Newsome and the next guy we'll talk about, who is Martin Emerson. But sticking with Greg Newsome, 13 games last season, he had 27 tackles, 5 pass breakups, and 1 pick. He's only had 3 career interceptions over 4 seasons, so between Ward and Newsome, you're not getting many interceptions on defense. 27 tackles last year, that was the lowest total of his career in a single season. Now, Newsome played a lot in the slot last year. I've listened to a lot of people, a lot of football guys and analysts talk about how Greg Newsome needs to get back out on the perimeter on the other side from Denzel Ward and get him out of the slot, get Martin Emerson back into the slot. Not sure why the Browns are using him so much in that position, but they seem to feel like he's being played out of position for what his skill set could be maximized for on the outside. So then Martin Emerson Jr., the next guy, 6'2", 201 pounds, 24 years old. This is the 4th and final year of his rookie deal. So like I said, the Browns need to make a decision likely during the season if they want to extend him. If he hits free agency after the season, another team could come strong after him if he gets back to himself in the way that he played in 2022 and 2023. 2024 was his down year. just a $4 million cap hit this season. I don't think it's practical to think that the Browns could or would extend both Newsome and Emerson. Likely they're going to pick one of these guys to extend at some point this season. In 2024, Emerson played all 17 games. He had 80 tackles, which if you go back and you look at what the other two had, the other guys, and maybe this is why they're playing Emerson more in the slot because of his tackling ability. Denzel Ward was 49, Greg Newsome 27. Then you've got Martin Emerson with freaking 80 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. Again, while he had his best career season in the tackling department, it was his coverage that was the worst so far of his career. Just 5 pass breakups after he had 15 as a rookie and then 16 as a sophomore. I want you guys to remember what I said about Denzel Ward. He led the NFL last year with 19 pass breakups. Martin freaking Emerson came in and had 15 as a rookie and then followed it up with 16. So there's a Pro Bowl cornerback there in Martin Emerson Jr. He just needs to get back to it here in 2025. Looking back at 23, he had 4 interceptions, 0 in 2024. The interception thing was bad across the board for the Browns in 2024. Cameron Mitchell, the next guy we'll talk about here, 5'11", 191 pounds, 23 years old, 3rd NFL season. He appeared in all 17 games last year after dealing with some injuries during his rookie season. He made 24 tackles, 1 TFL, and 2 pass breakups. Just a pretty good young rotational depth piece behind the top 3 guys here for the Browns. And then after him, Miles Harden, 5'11", 195, 23 years old. 2nd season, was a rookie last year. He appeared in 4 games and split pretty much 50-50 his time and his snaps between defense and special teams. And then the last guy I'll dive into with any bit of depth is Tony Brown II, 6 foot, 200 pounds, 29 years old, 7th NFL season. He is on the vet minimum deal this year for the Browns. He was here last year, appeared in 6 games, but strictly on special teams only. He logged exactly 0 snaps on defense in 2024. Other names at the cornerback position to mention here, Lamarian James and Dom Jones are both UDFAs this season. Rookie guys to watch this training camp and preseason. You got Anthony Kendall and Chigozie Anuzium, who was, I believe, on the practice squad last year. So that's it. That wraps up everything for the Browns heading into training camp. The only things that I really didn't dive into were the special teams specialists. So you've got your punter Corey Bojorquez, who was like the best punter in the NFL, led the Browns in yardage last year, I think, at some point. I mean, he had more punt yards than the offense had total yards. It was freaking embarrassing for the offense last year. And then you've got Dustin Hopkins. We'll see what we get out of him this year. Last year was like the worst kicker in the NFL after being one of the best the year before, got the extension and all that kind of stuff. We'll see if he gets back to himself this year. They have been cutting and re-signing Andre Schmidt, who is currently still back with the team after they made some moves last week. So there is another kicker, at least currently on the roster heading into training camp. And then I believe Rex Sunahara is the current long snapper on the roster after they parted ways with longtime Brown Charlie Hewlett this offseason. So that wraps it up. That's your roster right now looking into training camp. Go back, if you guys missed it, go back and check out the offensive episode. Obviously broke down quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, and the offensive line all on one long episode. I probably should have split that one up into 2. Defense here, go back, watch the defensive line. I went over all the edge rushers, the defensive end guys, and then also the interior players as well. And obviously now I just finished up with linebackers and your defensive backfield for the Browns in 2025. We'll see if they make any moves here over the next few weeks. Heading into training camp, do they trade for another wide receiver? Do they trade away one of their quarterbacks? We'll see what happens. Either way, training camp is going to be must-see TV, and pretty much for us, must-see social media this summer. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, for a team that's not expected to be very good, I would say is the assessment from most analysts, media, Browns fans don't think this team's going to be very great. There's a lot of excitement and a lot of hype and a lot of buzz. And obviously it's driven primarily by the 2 young rookie quarterbacks, and we'll see what they end up doing for the Browns here, in training camp and preseason. But I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, with Mason Graham up front and then Carson Swessinger, at the linebacker position, and then you just like the veterans I talked about. I mean, Jerome Baker coming in here. I'm excited to see, on the defensive line, Malik Collins. I did a thing on him, how I think he could be the most underrated signing for the Browns this offseason. And then also Joe Tryon-Shoyinka on the edge after they just let Obo go. And then you got the battle between Alex Wright and Isaiah McGuire on the edge. Like, there's a lot of very exciting, very buzzworthy things to be watching and paying attention to as the summer progresses here. So we will keep you guys covered on all of that. For the most up-to-date stuff, make sure you guys are following us on all the social medias, Twitter, X, Facebook, TikTok, at The Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss anything new. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, all that stuff. We appreciate all the support, all the engagement. You guys always commenting with us, dropping your thoughts, dropping your questions, whether it's positive or negative. Just interacting is so huge for us as a Browns content creation platform, and we appreciate all of you guys more than you realize. Trust me. And again, before I wrap it up, join thedogs.com, get in there and check out the Dog Pack community. Get in there and play fantasy football with us. We're going to start divvying up the leagues here later this month, and then we're going to finalize things through August, set the drafts for late in August before the season kicks off, and then we're ready to roll. So get in there. If you guys, there's such a wide range of fantasy football knowledge, and what people, there's people that in there that have played for a decade or longer. There's people coming in right now saying, hey, this is my first year ever playing fantasy football. Just excited to learn how it goes and see what happens. There's people in there that have been playing for 2 years, 3 years. It's so great. So whether you've played fantasy football before, you're really good at it, whether you've struggled in the past, or whether you've never played before, it is a great opportunity to get in there with like-minded Browns fans and just have a good time this football season. So that's at jointhedogs.com. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Happy 4th of July weekend. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy your family. Enjoy the summer and the sun and the cookouts and just the fireworks. Have a blast. Appreciate you guys so much, and we will be back with you guys next week talking more Browns, and we've got some guests coming on here in the coming weeks to fill up the time until training camp kicks off later in July. So, till I see you guys in the next one, let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at The Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Baden Sports. Browns fans, it's summertime. Time to get outside and take advantage of the beautiful weather and play some backyard games. Head over to badensports.com, BADEN sports.com/dogs, and check out all their summertime gear. And for 10% off your entire order, just use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. Now, if you guys love pickleball, Baden Sports has all the gear you need, including a variety of paddles, balls, and complete pickleball sets with a pack and go carry case so you can play in the backyard or take it on vacation to play with the entire family. Baden Sports also has volleyball and badminton sets, croquet, horseshoes, bocce, and even Vikings chess. And no summer break is complete without some good old-fashioned wiffle ball. Plus, Baden has all kinds of different basketballs with special outer layers that are designed specifically for whatever surface you'll be playing on. So don't waste 1 second this summer. Head to badensports.com/dogs to get the backyard outdoor gaming gear that your family needs and get 10% off your entire order with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. That's badensports.com/dogs.